Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I am doing well. Can't complain. Sun is shining. It's getting warm here.
Nice. There's sun in Minneapolis?
There is. Yeah.
Excellent.
Lakes are unfreezing, I think. I just drove past one and I saw some liquid water.
Ooh.
It's always a good sign. Spring is here.
Cool. Are you coming back from your workout?
I didn't work out today, actually. I shifted my days, so it's Tuesday and Friday, so I'm not rushing back to record this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That seems sensible.
Optimizing. Yeah.
Cool. I've been working on delegating more things.
Yeah?
And it's kind of great.
What have you delegated recently?
Running our planning meeting for the development for engineering and product, basically. Dan our designer asked me if I was interested in having him running it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, actually, that sounds great." It's funny. I have this dual feeling of oh, that sounds really great, and also a little bit of guilt, I think, where it's I kind of feel like I'm cheating or something, or it's I can't just delegate everything, right? Or what should I be doing
or
here?
Or can you? Right. What is your actual job? I mean, that's kind of, you need to morph your job description over time, right?
Yeah. What is it would you say you do here, Ben? I think my focus is kind of shifting more towards hiring. We have some hires we want to make pretty soon. So I've been getting ready for that. And that is a thing that would be definitely hard to delegate now for sure. It's an interesting mental thing for me where it's can I just give these things to other people and have them get done? That's kind of great, actually.
Do you struggle at all with feeling hesitancy about giving up control, or is it more around just that your team member is capable of doing a really good job, you're just feeling a little weird about shedding those responsibilities?
Yeah, it's kind of about contributing, I guess, where it's is my job just to route the right people to the other put jobs with people, and you should talk to this person directly about this, or it's like this podcast to me where it doesn't really feel like work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's am I actually doing useful stuff if that's my job?
Yeah.
I think there's still plenty of hard decision things, and some of them coming up, and CEO things that require CEO to do CEO stuff. So I don't think this will be a long-term existential thing, but it's just an interesting thing I noticed in my own psychology, where it's I almost kind of feel bad where I'm do you want to do that? And it's I'm oh, surely they don't want to do this because it's work.
Right.
No, it's fine. It's oh yeah, okay, right. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's such a good feeling though when you can truly hand off a task to somebody and not in the way that you're still directing it and they're just acting as an extension of you, but really no, you're responsible for this, and which means I think that's more fulfilling for the person who's doing the job, because then that means oh no, I actually I make the calls on this and I own the result of it. And
yes,
but that feels really good for you. I've noticed in my position, because it's oh, that's actually a real weight off my mind. I could just entrust this to somebody,
Absolutely. Yep. It feels great once I do it. Actually, it's wonderful. Even if I'm somewhat concerned that I could have done it better, it's still kind of yeah, but I don't have to do it now. And so that's great. I remember hearing from someone who'd been at Stripe for a while saying that Stripe is very good at giving people almost too much responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
The default is kind of yeah, you should, yeah, you're brand new, whatever, go run this project, make it happen. And then giving people a chance to succeed at that high level. I love that. I think that's totally the right direction to bias in.
Mm-hmm.
You'd rather see people attempt a project that ends up being too hard for them and not quite make it. I think it's inspiring, and I think a lot of times you don't actually know what you're capable of until someone says, here's this hard thing, you should do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just keeps life interesting, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's a recipe for making a really fulfilling job for somebody, I think, is if they do have that ability to either succeed in a big way or potentially fail in a big way. But you can't have the opportunity for really a fulfilling, successful experience if there's not the chance that something will fail, And
Yeah. And I think it's kind of a kindness, I think, to give someone a shot at that. And also to kind of expect a lot out of them. I think my favorite professor ever was kind of a hard ass. And he the first day of class, he's if you're someone that needs to get an A in your class, you shouldn't take this because I give out 5 a semester out of a class of 300. I think an A means exceptional performance, and I don't give them that lightly. Also, 100 of you are going to drop this class in the first week because you're going to find it too hard. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't wait. I love this. And it's just like that sort of like being held to a high standard, I think is kind of a gift, actually.
Yeah, right. And that to have that mindset, because I think a lot of people would enter into that and think, oh my gosh, this guy's the worst, you know? But so your initial reaction to that was like, ooh, I love this?
Yes. Oh yeah. I was super excited.
Wow.
I'd never had someone throw down the gauntlet like that before.
Yeah.
You know, like I did super well in that class. I mean, I got one of the A's, I'll say.
Did you get one of the A's?
Yeah,
wow,
I did.
Look at you.
And I was not like an academic achiever generally, you know, like that wasn't like a big, it was not common for me to like be super motivated in a class, but kind of the fact that he was just like, this is going to be hard. And, you know, who knows if you can do it? I was like, ooh, okay. All right. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. And now it's your job. I mean, you're the chief motivator for your team, right? And you feel like that's one of your big responsibilities?
That's an interesting question. I have not thought of it that way before. I guess that's probably true. I wonder how motivated the team feels on average. Is that stuff I'm supposed to explicitly cultivate?
Mm-hmm. Definitely like keeping people inspired, right? Is kind of, that's one aspect of leadership, of leading a company so that people are, you know, stay excited and on fire for what's happening in the company.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think having kind of like a compelling vision of what the future could look like.
Yeah.
Seems pretty much like a CEO job, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I've done a great job of that, actually. I think I could do a lot more of that.
Yeah. I think it becomes more of a challenge as a company matures more. Like when things are really early and it's a really small group, like that energy is just kind of feels like a naturally occurring thing, you know?
Totally.
Because the growth is exciting, and when you get a new big deal and it swings the revenue by a big amount, like there's just a lot of inherent excitement. And it's like, how do you keep, I mean, the company has to grow up, and that changes over time what that excitement feels like, but you have to keep that energy there, or else it can, right? It becomes mundane, or it can. That's the risk, I guess.
Yeah. That's totally true. Yeah. The stakes feel like lower because things are mostly working. So it's like any individual thing is kind of less of a big deal. So how then do you paint a compelling picture of big things changing anyway?
Yeah.
How do you say like, no, we're just getting going. There's a lot more awesomeness over here. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. And maybe big projects like the Linux client are going to be another shot of that, because you're basically, that's sort of like taking it back to the early days. You're entering a new market and all the excitement that comes with that.
Yeah. And I think like it seems like Spencer is more fired up than he has been in a while, working on that new thing and having the new challenge and getting all those like little kind of initial wins. I think it's super motivating. Yeah. I mean, that was honestly part of why we wanted to do the Linux client, was just like we were excited by it. Like Spencer was fired up to do it. And it's like, okay, like if no one had been excited about it, like we might have just been like, maybe later. But it was like, no, we're going to get some, could be kind of fun.
Right. When you see companies like Basecamp, like rewriting their core product multiple times and releasing different versions, like I think a big part of that is just like the team kind of gets bored and stagnates on, if they had just like the one code base that had lived for 20 years and that was it, then, you know, people start to feel the legacy of that in many ways, and like not getting to, it's harder to implement things that excite you and things that really are going to excite your customers. And so they keep, you know, kind of making these reinvention shifts. And I think a large part of that is just so that they can stay at the top of their craft, right?
Yeah. I wonder if they would agree with that statement, that's probably why they did it. It's kind of for the enjoyment of it, or the excitement of it, the freshness.
Yeah. I think that their outside narrative has been like, you know, times change and we fundamentally reinvent and have better ideas about how to do project management or whatever. But I would kind of push back on that a little bit. Like I don't think your ordinary company should necessarily take lightly the choice of like rewriting the product and rebuilding it. Like normally you can just like mutate your product over time to meet the needs that people have. Like it doesn't feel totally necessary to me that they've cut entirely new versions, but I think that there are other benefits to that, like keeping things fresh for them, you know.
Totally. Yep. Did you see the Gumroad crowdfunding? thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of
an
interesting.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen this, Gumroad did a crowdfunding fundraising event because the rules recently changed so that you can raise up to 5 million, I guess, per year. I didn't realize it was like time-based, but
I didn't know that
do
either.
one every year, I guess, if you want. And they sold safes in Gumroad. So basically, if Gumroad later does get sold or raises more money, then those people will convert to equity later. The idea of selling a safe as a profitable company that maybe might not raise or like might not sell for a long time feels interesting to me.
Yeah. That vehicle was sort of invented by Y Combinator, right? For companies that are at the stage where like they have high growth potential and it's too early to value the company. And if they valued it at what it would be, they would probably be selling way too much equity. So it's like it would be unrealistic to try to raise at that early stage and put a value on it, right? But yeah, Gumroad has been around for a long time and is very profitable. So it is an interesting choice.
Yeah. Feels a little bit like free money in a way, where it's like, if you know you need to fundraise or die, clearly you're going to do a round later. And so the people that get in on the safe are going to convert to equity in the future. But if Sahil just decides, I'm going to run this for 10 years, it's like, okay, well, no one in there gets to participate in the profits and the money doesn't come up. And so it's
because there's no dividends issued against safes, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's not converted to equity yet. So
yeah, you don't own equity. So
right.
That's interesting. I don't know.
I don't fully understand what the expectation of return for these 7,000 people who have purchased,
Yeah. I mean, like all investing, it's a gamble. It's a bet, right? So they're betting that eventually he does raise more or sells, that he doesn't just not do those things. And that there's risk that he won't ever do those things and their safes are never worth anything. But that's like part of the discount you apply to the value of the thing.
But in order to do that, yeah, you have to basically get back on the venture track, right? Which Gumroad is such a fascinating story because they were on the venture track and then backed off of that, right? Famously, like basically the investors gave back the equity and it kind of returned to a small, quote unquote, bootstrapped company. I feel like in order for this round of investors to really get a return, they would have to basically do a series whatever and get back kind of on the venture track or go public, I suppose.
Or sell.
Yeah, or get acquired, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is. So did you buy any stock?
I did not, no.
Buy a safe?
No, not purchased a safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently they sold everything in 24 hours, which is quite a thing. It does seem like a pretty interesting new phenomenon that we will probably see a lot. Like, I think it's actually very cool that you can sell equity-like things to your audience/customers. Like, if we were to do something like this, it's cool to like, our customers could be like kind of partial owners in the company or like have an interest in the upside of the company. And then it's like, now we have even more reason for them to be evangelists.
Yeah. I was just listening to Bootstrapped Web right before we hopped on the mic here. That was kind of Jordan's point is like, he sees this as predominantly a marketing campaign because, it's one thing to build an email list of 7,000 people. It's a completely different thing to have 7,000 people who own a chunk of the company and are going to be a different level of evangelist, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. Jordan Galgam is smart sometimes. Yeah, I like that. And that's interesting thinking of it as a marketing event. The crazy thing is like, yeah, it's marketing that doesn't cost you anything except in like as an option on future positive things happening. So like later, if Gumroad sells, okay, some of that money now is returned to the investors instead of Sahil, but that seems fine.
Yeah. But I like in general the kind of the access that this gives to ordinary people who have some money and want to make an informed decision about where to place an investment, because this has historically been something that's very gated off. You have to be an accredited investor and all kinds of like limits in place, and this really kind of changes the game and lets companies function more as like a quasi public company in one sense.
Totally.
Yeah,
I think it's cool.
Yeah,
I'm into it.
Yep.
How's SavvyCal doing?
It's doing pretty good. So I crossed a milestone this week.
Ooh.
Yeah. The 10K, the famous 10K MRR mark.
Congratulations.
Achievement unlocked. Yeah.
That's a big milestone.
Yeah, it definitely felt good. I've been watching, refreshing the metrics in Profitwell, and it kind of caught me by surprise a couple afternoons ago. Just refreshed the page and boom, there it was. It's kind of surreal.
How long has it been now?
So I broke ground on the code like about a year ago. It was beginning of March last year.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's solid. And then when did you first start billing people?
I think it was like June. Yeah. Onboarded the first couple of customers in June. So March to June. And then publicly launched in September, like opened it up more broadly to the list.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The product hunt launch was kind of the big first lift, right?
Yeah. So I just did a presentation on this for MicroConf Remote. And so I pulled together some numbers from that, just kind of reflected back on it. And yeah, it added, in the month of January, added about 4K in MRR. So it was quite a lift for sure.
What are your lessons learned? How do other people do this?
I'm like related to Product Hunt or just in general?
No, just in general. I think there are probably a lot of listeners
Yeah.
that would love to reach that milestone.
Yeah. Well, so I have been thinking about this, like what makes SavvyCal different than the other things that I've taken a run at in the past couple of years, right? And I think a couple things. I've been investing in kind of a personal audience for a number of years through this podcast, through hanging out on Twitter and providing value where it makes sense and all that kind of stuff, right? So that was able to serve as kindling for the fire that is SavvyCal, right? And I think intentionally choosing to build a product that broadly appeals to a lot of people who are already kind of in my first ring of audience really helped a lot. I'm never one who would say like one must build an audience in order to get a SaaS off the ground, but it certainly doesn't hurt, right? If they're able to kind of seed that. And then, I think it's been difficult so far to quantify this, but I think that just the viral nature of the product, that its branding is shared every time someone successfully uses the product, has been like just a big factor in like helping that initial traction that was seeded by people from my audience starting to use the product, and then it pretty quickly like getting out there beyond that circle. You see this like through pretty strong word of mouth that's happening on Twitter, which is like it's a very hard thing to like intentionally cultivate, but it's happening and it's really cool. I guess part of that is just like getting people to fall in love with the product and spread it around. And then I don't know, those certain things like the Product Hunt launch was really successful, and I obviously did everything I could to make it that way, but a large part of that is kind of serendipity, luck, timing, whatever, that it happened to get good lift that day, and I wasn't competing against another product that took the limelight and all that other stuff.
Have you tracked how many people sign up via like seeing SavvyCal through someone else's thing? Is that trackable? Do you have like a interested in this, sign up here kind of thing?
I do. So if someone clicks the like scheduling by SavvyCal link, or if they use the overlay my calendar feature, which is kind of the gateway, then it basically spins up an account for them in the background, and we track that as like they came in through the overlay, and we actually treat them differently with like onboarding emails. We keep it very minimal because they didn't necessarily intend to start using the product. They were just trying to overlay on a link. So like we have that, and the numbers don't look super impressive from that. Like there's it's a small percentage of people use that feature, and then I've looked through the list of like people who have then converted into customer and come in that way, and most of them are like names that I recognize. So like, oh, you were probably gonna like sign up anyways. Like I don't think this was legitimately the first way you heard about it. So I mean, this goes to say like attribution is just so difficult, and especially with like I've been using pretty privacy aware tooling also, so I'm not doing like the most aggressive tracking of all user activity, and that just means I'm a little bit more in the dark about like getting the full picture of like all the touch points that people have with the product before signing up, and like was their first touch point seeing a scheduling link and then coming back 5 days later, or clicking a tweet or whatever. Like I don't know, I feel like I'm in the dark, but it's like it's so hard to get that data, especially if you're not if you're trying to respect people's privacy and stuff. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is always the old, ask them when they sign up trick.
Yeah, and that's actually who brought that up to me. Oh, I think Corey mentioned that lately. Like yeah, you should just add a box to the onboarding. And
yeah, we should do that.
Yeah,
we used to have that. I took it out just to make the form shorter, but
yeah,
I wouldn't mind adding that back in.
I had that in the first onboarding email, and I don't feel like I was getting a good sense. Like the people who, it was kind of a self-selecting thing. The people who would email back and respond, usually they almost 9 out of 10 times would say like, oh, I follow you on Twitter or I listen to the podcast. So it's like that's cool, but I'm hoping to hear from some of the people that like legitimately didn't know me before.
Well, I think that just tells you what channels you actually have so far.
Right. That's true, but I would say a good portion of them, just looking through, like I don't recognize them from anywhere that I've seen them.
Sure. Yeah, but you wouldn't recognize all your Twitter followers, right?
Probably not. No, that's true. That's a good point. But yeah, I think the people who are Twitter followers are just more likely to respond to an optional question sent in an email versus people who don't know me from anywhere and just wandered in to try the tool.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, totally. So you did like building an audience first. Wade into that debate.
I think it's a mostly unproductive debate because it's like anything, there's so many paths to making something work, right?
I've been noticing like this meta thing around the debates of like, you should build an audience first versus no, you don't need to build an audience first, or like you should talk about features. No, you should talk about benefits. No, you should talk about features. And like it's kind of like a TikTok, I think, like the old one, not the social network, where it's like, oh, a lot of people are kind of making this error, and so if you wanted to give some advice to the average person, here's the advice, and then that advice gets kind of widely disseminated and adopted, and then people are kind of making the opposite error. And so now people are like rightly point out, no, this other side has merit too. And everyone, and now there's like this fight. It's like, no, it was never that one was correct and one was totally wrong. It's like, if you're trying to give generic advice to people without knowing their context, what's a decent thing to say that's often right? And the thing that's often right changes over time as like the sort of common knowledge and best practices and things that everyone has already heard change in the world.
Yeah. No, that's so true. I mean, I think it can be. I think you can take one step back from like the whole audience or not audience debate and just say like, regardless of whether you use that or not, one should probably think about leveraging their unfair advantages the most they can, right? And having an audience is one of those, but it's not the only one. There are other types that you could have.
Yeah, I would even say it's like, you should probably figure out how you're going to get a couple hundred trials a month. If you're going to sell software, you have to sell, you need a lot of leads. And so you're going to need to do something so that people who maybe are good customers find out about you and, look at your strengths and look at what you want to do and what works and have a plan for that. Distribution matters.
So I also got a random note from Stripe about a week ago. I was like, hey, we pre-approved you for a Stripe Capital loan. And I was like, oh, this, and I had actually just been talking to somebody about, I was thinking about doing a deal that would potentially bring in a lot of cash up front. And so then I was just in the mindset of like, well, that type of deal is effectively like a form of financing, right? Like a way to bring in cash in the door up front to enable you to do more things, make more bets on experiments or whatever. And so thinking about it that way, it's like, I was having a conversation with a friend, and we're like, well, I mean, something to consider at some point is playing around with like, revenue-based financing or some forms of debt, basically, to, especially if you're growing and the risk is pretty low, like to get cash up front and be able to use it for stuff. And so just when I got this, like, it's a meager amount. They were like between $2,000 and $4,000, and here's the terms. Paid back over 9 months, I think, and it's like effectively a 6% interest rate. So it's like a couple $100 in loan fees, and they auto deduct it from your revenue. So it's like it's basically zero work on your part. It just skimmed off from MRR that comes in the door, and they just deposit the money right into your account. I didn't have like a burning need for this, but I was like, I just put down $4,000 on a podcast sponsorship experiment. So I'm like, might as well just replenish the coffers for that and just kind of get a feel for how this experience goes with Stripe Capital. And it was like super smooth. You like clicked the button in the UI that was like you're pre-approved, and they're like, cool, give us a little more information. Like 6 hours later, they're like, you're approved. The money should arrive within a day or two. It was super smooth. So
nice.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's cool. Yeah, I was just looking at our dashboard. Yeah, we have some offers there as well. Like it looks like there's like 3 different levels based on how much we would want to borrow and then what the fee would be and all that. I never think about potentially using this money for anything, but maybe we should.
Especially if there's something that some marketing channel or something that you have that where you can basically insert dollars in and get more than you put in back out. Like then it just comes down to a math equation on whether it makes sense to use debt financing to put money in that slot machine.
Looks like the fee is like 11% or something on these numbers that I'm seeing here. So we could get, X dollars and pay back 11% of that in addition. So yeah, so if we have bets that are better than that, we should probably be making them. I don't think about that enough. I think actually that's kind of a blind spot for me. Like I'm not used to thinking like, oh, we have this capital. How do we invest this capital in productive ROI? I think I'm more of the like, oh, that's profit. That's take that. That's the founders. Take that out. Which is, not the worst impulse, but it's like, it could be, there's interesting things there too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Is that how aggressive you want to be on reinvesting? But so, I thought that was cool. And like, it'll be interesting to see if there's, if I end up getting some of these, if like the podcasting stuff works out decently well, TBD on that, because I think they're just going to start running some ads in the next couple of weeks. Then I could potentially see like doing more of that. And if I need funds to do that, then like, I don't know, some loans like this seem like perfectly reasonable. So
totally. Yeah. I'm super curious to hear the results on the paid acquisition stuff. We haven't done, have we done any of this? I don't think we've done any of this, but I always keep coming back to like, this is a thing we should at least test.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of always want to keep a balance of like experimenting with things that would potentially produce near-term gains, like people like driving customers immediately to the website and potentially signing up, and then also investing in stuff that is longer term, like producing content that contributes to SEO or doing guest posts that get backlinks that over time accumulate. I've definitely been feeling in the last couple of weeks like we still have, trials coming through the door, but they've definitely like cooled off a bit. And I think it's just by nature of the, the product hunt traction stuff just kind of naturally cools a bit. And so I hate seeing that, looking at the graphs, like graphs are still going up, but they're going up slightly slower. And I feel that,
Mm-hmm. That's not as fun.
Yeah. It's funny how like I can look at the slope of the curve of the trial graph, and that like is very proportional to my mental state, which I don't like. I want to get the challenge is to get those fully decoupled, but
good luck.
That'll be a whole life's work probably.
Maybe start with like a 6-month meditation retreat.
Yeah, I know, something like that. I've been feeling the need to like, all right, I got to do some things that kind of get trial numbers back up a bit if possible, but then also like I feel like I can't be too focused on quick wins or immediate term things, because I could find myself 6 months down the line like, well, if you had just started investing in this long-term thing, then it would be paying off now. And so, but it takes discipline. I feel like having the discipline to like invest in stuff where it's like, we're not going to see a return on this in a while. So
indeed.
Yeah.
But that's the long-term game you want to play.
Yeah. That's what we all have to do.
Yeah, so I think I told you before, our growth plan for this year is first 2 quarters on cleaning the funnel up, tightening that up. So we're about to ship, actually, I think early next week should ship some onboarding improvements we've made. Like kind of a little wizard to walk you through getting Tuple set up. We've sort of made the sign-in process a bit slicker. We've made the sign-up process a bit slicker. So that's going well, and plan to do some more work on that next quarter. But then the second half of the year is going to be a lot of this, like what you're doing. Like try some things, test a bunch of channels, try to be really rigorous about the analytics and see what's working, and kind of figure out how do we really crank the new trial numbers up.
Mm-hmm. That'll be fun.
By the way, email people. Yeah, we'll definitely sure. Yeah, email people. So far, our best day of trials this month so far, of course, has been after we emailed a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Still good.
Probably need to do more of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're up to, speaking of email, up to 750 people on our Linux waitlist.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. Still going up. Excited for that.
When do you think you start recruiting, or inviting in actual beta testers?
That's a good question. We just did the first audio only call, which is pretty cool. That doesn't mean we're anywhere near ready for prime time. I think even a one-way screen share, if you can just join, that's kind of enough to at least get the first people in. So it might not be long, honestly. We're doing our founders retreat for the quarter next week. So I think we'll probably talk about schedule then, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're within a month or two.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's exciting, man.
Yeah, it's cool.
Pretty quick progress, all things considered, I feel like.
Yeah, Spencer's a beast.
Mm-hmm.
He goes
But
fast.
we knew that.
Yeah, we knew that. That's not a shock. At least in pure raw numbers, adding Linux to our stable doubles our number of potential customers. Just a number of developers, at least. Not that they're all potential customers, but could be a big lever. I mean, it'd be awesome if that paid off that way. I'm happy we're doing it to make it more useful for our existing customers and to make us available to more teams, that make it feasible for more teams and whatnot. It would be very gratifying to also see, oh, hey, here's where Linux launched, and oh, look at the new growth rate was achieved a couple months later as we, hit those new people.
Yep.
That'll be great.
Yeah. It'll be fun to see.
All right, so before we wrap, I have a very quick Overwatch update.
Oh, yes, please do. Lay it on me.
This is a recurring segment for a little bit. So last night, I was commenting that I've noticed this thing. So I've been playing this game for almost a year, and a lot of this game is figuring out where people are and what they're doing. There's a lot of sound cues in the game, and I had always had this feeling that it was really hard to tell where the sounds were coming from. And I was it always kind of feels like I would hear the sounds that meant something was happening or someone was over somewhere, and I couldn't quite locate them in space. And so I'd have to kind of look around and figure it out. And it always felt kind of weird to me. And other people seem to do this more easily than I did. And I was are my headphones bad? Do I have some setting turned on weird? Well, last night I discovered that for the last year I have been playing in mono.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so I switched. I eventually figured out how I had misconfigured things. I configured it correctly, and instantly it was a different game.
Wow.
And I was
That's insane.
My God. Yeah, it was just so much better. And again, so much of this is just like knowing someone is over to your left and you need to respond to them, or like hearing that someone's behind you, or it was just suddenly it was just so much easier. It was well, duh. I basically took this massive component of the game and shrunk it down to one dimension.
Wow.
And made my life so much harder.
Yeah. Well, maybe there are ancillary benefits to that. Maybe you've built up other skills to compensate, and now you're going to be this super player.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that my rating jumps up now because
yeah,
I should be able to just layer in this new ability basically.
It's you've been skiing without poles for the last year. And
yeah. I've been on one ski for a while. It's oh, wait a second. You're supposed to use two skis? Oh, okay. Yeah, this is way easier. What am I doing?
Oh, funny.
So, not a thing I would have thought that someone needed to check in on for me.
Yeah.
It's not a failure mode. Someone's hey, heads up, make sure you're not playing at mono.
Right.
But here we are.
Oh, man.
I'm going to partially blame how confusing Windows is.
Mm-hmm.
So, quick Windows dig before we leave.
Yeah.
But no,
you're not building the Windows client yet, so you can still dig at it.
That's right.
Yeah.
For now. And then later it's going to be great, and I can't wait.
Exactly. Yep.
Cool. All right. Notes of the show?
Notes of the show can be found at outerproductpodcast.com.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.